Arie of Pups Unleashed, and in this video I'm going to cover 5 ways that you can advocate for your dog and make them more comfortable when they are greeting strangers. Many dogs love meeting new people. However, probably even more dogs are a little nervous about meeting new people. So there are some things that you can do to really advocate for your dog in the moment there. If you haven't checked out our video on the 5 ways to be the person that every dog loves to meet, please check that out because that is going to really help immensely with telling the person what to do. But in addition to that, there are some other things that you can add in to help with your dog. The first is to teach your dog to hand target. And if you have not taught a hand target, we do have a video on that, so please check the link in the description for that. But a hand target just teaches a dog to nuzzle their nose gently to your hand. If you teach this to your dog, then in a greeting situation with a stranger, you can tell that person what the hand signal is. It's typically either a whole open hand or 2 fingers like this. And if the stranger makes that signal and your dog chooses to ignore it, they do not approach, that's a really good way to teach your dog communication in that situation, because if they're uncomfortable, they will not do the skill even though they understand what the skill is. So it's a nice way to gauge your dog in the moment. If they choose not to hand target that stranger, then it means they don't want to approach them, and that's where you opt for one of your other strategies. The other thing you can do, our number 2, is that if someone asks to meet your dog, no is an option. A lot of times we feel like we need to say yes because we don't want this person who asked to pet our dog to feel offended or anything like that. But if your dog is uncomfortable and if you know that your dog doesn't do great with meeting strangers, there's no reason to stress them out by letting this person that you'll never see again pet them in a way they might not like, and then it further exacerbates the problem. So if you have to say no, say no. And there are plenty of kind ways you can say that. You can come up with something like, oh, nope, sorry, my dog's in training right now. Even if they're not, you can still do it. You could say something like, they're still a little nervous about meeting new people. Here, do this instead, and we'll talk about what that could be. But you can say no. Please don't feel obligated. If you're uncomfortable in the situation, your dog is too, so just say no in a kind way, and then the greeting does not have to happen in such a way that will make your dog nervous. Another option is our number 3, which is have the person toss treats at your dog instead. So you should always walk with some sort of food in your pocket. That way when these moments present themselves, you have something to work with. And if your dog looks nervous in this situation, say, hey, I don't think they want to greet right now, but throw some treats over here instead. That way, the person feels like they were still part of the moment. The dog is getting heavy reinforcement, and it's further building up to this idea that strangers are good people, and no one is pushed behind a situation where they are comfortable. So it's a really great option there as well. The other thing that you want to look at, our number 4, is, are there kids in the mix? Kids during greetings with strangers can be very stressful for dogs. Even the most well-socialized dogs, some of them just struggle with children because children are a little bit different than adult humans. They act differently. They have very high-pitched voices. They move fast, and even more importantly, they move unpredictably. And that makes dogs nervous in general. So even if your dog is one that you typically let people meet, if it's a kid that's trying to run up to your dog and meet them, it's usually not a great situation if you don't know the kid or the parent. So if you do know the child and the parent, walk through those great ways to greet a dog together. But if it's just kids down the street running up to you asking to pet your dog, that's a great time to say, no, let's toss some treats at him instead. He's a little nervous in this situation. Finally, you want to have an emergency plan. So if you're in this situation where your dog, is around a bunch of strangers, they're not comfortable enough to greet, you don't trust the people enough to go through the process, then have an emergency plan. And there's typically 2 that I really like. One is to train what's called let's go, or just some sort of emergency U-turn where you practice in the moment just saying let's go, and then running with your dog and then giving them food after you jog a little bit, get you out of the situation. Or you can practice find it, which is where you literally just say find it, scatter some food on the ground, it's super engaging for your dog. So if you're in this situation where you have to kind of stop and interact with someone, but your dog isn't loving it, distract them with this. If your dog is happily sniffing out food, you can have that conversation. You can help even further by putting your body between you and the dog and the person. So if there's a person here and my dog is here, you know, you can just kind of make this type of body language where your dog is engaging over here and you are in between the two. So everyone is more comfortable in that situation. And finally, another emergency thing to have in your back pocket is just a positive interrupter. So just pick a word, whatever it is, and then teach your dog that that word predicts awesome food. So this can be a recall, this can be a trained, cue like a touch or a watch, but whatever it is, it just means, hey, look over here, come over here and get delicious food. And that way, if your dog gets nervous or starts barking or starts lunging, you can use that to positively interrupt. So there's no punishment. We're positively interrupting, which is going to increase the chance that your dog focuses on you because they're not anticipating a punishment. They're anticipating something great. So they have a better chance of noticing. And then emergency plan, get out of the situation, run or whatever you have to do, and then just keep the tone positive as you do it. So if you put all of those things together, it can really make meeting new people a better experience for your dog, and it can also draw the line for where your dog is not comfortable and where you're not willing to push them. Because remember, consent is huge with dogs, and if they learn that you will not put them in a situation that makes them extremely nervous, they're more likely to be trusting in new situations because they know that you'll step in if things go away that they're not comfortable. All right, friends, thank you for listening. As always, make sure you like and subscribe for new content. And if you need a related video, please check out the one on 5 things you can do to greet or be the person that every dog wants to greet. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.